Swallowed Star Episode 228. Luo Feng obtains the inheritance of a universe's strongest expert. The founder of the Great Axe successfully becomes the master of a supreme true treasure, and his strength rises to the point where he can overpower the entire universe. In the waters of Qingfeng Realm, Luo Feng discovered a pair of white Shi Wu Wings. After seeing through the fake weapon spirit's deception, he waited patiently for 6 years. Unexpectedly, his own Shi Wu Wings gave birth to a weapon spirit. Fortunately, because Luo Feng's Shi Wu Wings had successfully awakened their own spirit, he became even more certain that the spirit inside the white wings had been setting up a trap and deceiving him all along. At that moment, the spirit of the white wings took the initiative to throw out bait. Pretending to cooperate with Luo Feng in the recognition process, it claimed that as long as he grabbed the core component, it would teach him the complete method of becoming its master. In reality, a fatal trap was hidden inside. The spirit wanted to kill Luo Feng the instant the component came close to him. Luo Feng had already seen through the scheme. On the surface, he remained calm and pretended to obey, but he did not recklessly merge the dangerous component into his body. Instead, he used the excuse of wanting to test it first, planning to send out a soul slave to attempt the recognition and probe the other side's true intentions. At first, the spirit of the white wings did not care. It was confident that the recognition conditions were extremely strict, and that an ordinary soul slave would never succeed. So it agreed without hesitation. But when Luo Feng controlled the Star Tower to retreat more than 1,000 kilometers and sent his Masha clan clone outside to attempt the recognition, the spirit of the white wings instantly panicked. There were no blade storms within tens of thousands of kilometers around this area. The Masha clan clone could move safely, completely cutting off the possibility of the white wings launching a sneak attack on Luo Feng. As expected, when the Masha clan clone attempted the recognition, there was no reaction throughout the entire process. Not even the slightest ripple of energy was triggered. Luo Feng exposed the deception on the spot, saying directly that this core component was fake. He ordered the spirit to hand over the true core of the treasure. With its lie completely pierced through, the spirit of the white wings finally tore away its disguise. It bluntly declared that Luo Feng's talent was insufficient, that he was not worthy of becoming its master, and that he could never bring out its supreme power. Luo Feng no longer wasted words with it. He directly ordered the newly born spirit of the Shi Wu Wings to act. The Shi Wu Wings, which had been lying dormant for so long, erupted in an instant. They stretched out from the passage of the Star Tower, and their body expanded at a terrifying speed. The newly born Shi Wu weapon spirit instinctively craved origin energy. It began madly devouring the blade-like light in the surrounding space. These rays of light came from the origin of the supreme treasure. Like moths flying into a flame, they poured endlessly into the silver wings. When the white wings saw this, they were horrified. They desperately tried to control their own origin energy, but they had no power to stop it. The Shi Wu Wings were originally part of the same treasure as the white wings. They shared the same source, so they were naturally compatible with that origin energy. The devouring process faced no obstruction at all. As they absorbed the energy crazily, the Shi Wu Wings completely repaired the hidden internal damage that had accumulated over countless years. Their aura continued to surge, and their fragmented memories gradually became clear. At last, they learned the full truth. The complete set of Shi Wu Wings consisted of 6 pairs. The white wings before them were the core wings at the highest level. During that earth-shaking battle long ago, the white wings suffered severe damage, while the other 5 pairs of wings were also left with hidden injuries. Watching its own origin being plundered, the white wings fell completely into madness. Yet it could only watch helplessly as the Shi Wu Wings transformed and grew stronger. It had no ability to resist. Luo Feng fully activated the Shi Wu Wings, working together with the weapon spirit's hunger. The 4 silver wings continued to expand wildly. It turned out that during that legendary battle, all 6 pairs of components of the Shi Wu Wings had been scattered. The core white wings, supported by the source, had not only recovered most of their hidden damage, but could also unleash overwhelming power. As for the other 5 pairs of wings, they had drifted through the universe ocean for endless ages, passing through countless dangers. Their interiors had long been covered with damage, and their power had declined greatly. Only today did the two pairs of wings in Luo Feng's possession finally get the chance to freely devour origin energy and repair themselves. Time passed bit by bit. Every so often, Shi Wu would excitedly report its recovery progress to Luo Feng. In just 30 hours, it had already recovered 90%. Because of this, the originally towering light wings had shrunk by half a light year. Another half a day passed. At last, Shi Wu sent over the good news that it had fully recovered. It told Luo Feng that although it still could only use 2 secret techniques, its internal hidden damage had previously limited it to only 10 or 20% of its true power. Now it could unleash its full strength completely. However, Shi Wu also said helplessly that it could no longer continue absorbing energy. Only the core source had the ability to store these origin rays. It regretfully said that if they had managed to trick the white wings into taking out the source earlier and trap it inside the star tower, then without the source, the white wings would have lost all power to resist. Luo Feng could have easily subdued it. But the white wings had been too cautious. It had never exposed the true core. Luo Feng also understood that right now, no one could shake the white wings while they were supported by an endless flow from the source. It was just like the star tower on the outside battlefield back then, which no one had been able to move. However, he did not leave because of this. Instead, he decided to stay. The terrifying willpower impact that filled this place was a rare sacred ground for tempering one's will in the universe ocean. So the Shi Wu wings withdrew back into the star tower, and the star tower, as tiny as a speck of dust, slowly began moving closer to the white wings. The white wings could only rage helplessly. There was nothing they could do. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, 1,200 years passed. Under the extreme pressure of will, Luo Feng tempered his mind while studying secret techniques and the beast god path. His will became firmer and firmer. Finally, on this day, the dust-sized star tower lightly touched the bloodstain on the white wings. The bloodstain was half a meter in diameter. A crazed aura, several times stronger than before, instantly swept over him. Luo Feng, who had been sitting cross-legged, slowly opened his eyes. After touching the bloodstain on the white wings, Luo Feng immediately asked Shi Wu whether his current will was strong enough to become their master. Shi Wu told him without mercy that although his will had reached the top level of a universe master after these 1,200 years, the leap from universe master to universe strongest expert was a fundamental transformation. He was still far from reaching the threshold. Luo Feng remained very calm about this. After all, his gains this time had already far exceeded his expectations. The intense willpower pressure had allowed him to progress more than he had after hundreds of millions of years in the beast god realm. Luo Feng decided to leave. There were still countless places in the 3 great danger zones of the universe ocean that were suitable for tempering the will. After leaving behind a firm declaration that he would return next time to subdue the white wings, he controlled the star tower and flew out of the mysterious space. He could not wait to test the restored Shi Wu wings. When he activated the Golden Kingdom, he was completely stunned. The Golden Kingdom unleashed by the fully restored Shi Wu wings was actually comparable to the combined power of his previous miniature universe, Golden Kingdom, and Flame Ocean. It was absolutely a top-grade treasure among peak true treasures. At that moment, the Golden Kingdom that covered the entire space allowed Luo Feng to unexpectedly discover a shocking fact. Besides the cave passage he had used to enter, there was actually another passage leading to an unknown place. He was worried that other powerful beings might discover the secret of the white wings through this passage, and he was also curious about the origin of this supreme true treasure. So he immediately decided to follow the passage and investigate. The star tower passed through 9 layers of dark red light screens and entered the passage. Luo Feng first sent out his Masha clan clone to scout the path. Unexpectedly, the strange heat energy contained in the rock walls of the passage was terrifying beyond imagination. The Masha clan clone merely reached out and touched the wall, and its entire arm melted like wax. The heat energy quickly spread into its body. As they went deeper, the temperature grew higher and higher. In the end, even the air inside the passage could burn and destroy the Masha clan clone. Luo Feng could only withdraw the clone and continue forward alone inside the star tower. After flying through the winding passage for more than 30 light years, Luo Feng finally reached the end. Before him was an incomparably vast flaming cavern. Hundreds of streams of fiery lava, surrounded by red, cyan, and gray halos, crisscrossed through the space, surging endlessly. The space here was extremely solid. There was not the slightest spatial fluctuation, making teleportation completely impossible. Luo Feng tried to release a trace of divine power, but before it even touched the flames, it was instantly burned and annihilated in the air. He was secretly shocked. Even a universe master without top-tier armor protection would instantly be reduced to ashes in this place. The star tower slowly flew through the cavern. Splashes of fiery lava struck the tower, but they had no effect at all. Soon, Luo Feng's attention was drawn to the stone pillars inside the cavern. These stone pillars looked ordinary, but in reality, every grain of sand contained an independent space. Among all the records of the human race, there was no information about these stone pillars. Clearly, this was an unknown region that no powerful being had ever explored before. As Luo Feng carefully observed these mysterious stone pillars, another pillar not far away suddenly drew all his attention. While exploring the flaming cavern, Luo Feng was quickly attracted to a special stone pillar. At first glance, this stone pillar looked no different from the others, but on its surface was a four-fingered claw mark. It was about the same size as the palm of an earth human. Luo Feng was shaken. The flames here could burn even the divine power of a universe master. Someone capable of leaving a claw mark on this kind of stone pillar could not be an ordinary expert. It was very likely a universe's strongest expert. And this place was located in the lower abdomen region of Qingfeng Realm's main mountain. The human race had never recorded anything about it. Clearly, this was a core region that had never been explored. The star tower flew before the claw mark, and Luo Feng examined it carefully. He discovered that a grain of sand at the center of the claw mark was giving off an extraordinary aura. He controlled the star tower and lightly touched that grain of sand. In an instant, the tower was pulled into the independent space inside the grain of sand. The temperature here was much lower than outside. It was merely comparable to the temperature at the core of a star. Luo Feng released his Masha clan clone and used the Golden Kingdom to cover the entire space. Soon, in front of a smooth rock wall on a mountain peak, he discovered two items. One was a cyan pendant engraved with a strange beast. Luo Feng recognized it at a glance. This was a token of the Universe Boat, one of the 3 great danger zones. With this token, one could not only reduce many dangers inside the Universe Boat, but also obtain an exclusive independent cultivation space. The other item was a piece of cloth woven from black and gold threads. It was the incredibly precious 𝐄𝐏 map. 𝐄𝐏 was a top-grade material used to craft illusion-type true treasures. It naturally had the effect of calming the mind. The pieces Luo Feng had obtained before were only tiny fragments. But the complete 𝐄𝐏 map before him was even larger than the one the Yuan AO master had once taken out. What delighted Luo Feng even more was that when his divine power seeped into the 𝐄𝐏 map, he actually entered a virtual space. Inside, part of the Universe Boat's map was clearly drawn, with detailed markings for the danger level of each area and methods to avoid those dangers. The value of this map was no less than that of a strange object divine wood. And this treasure now belonged to Luo Feng alone. The instant Luo Feng picked up the cyan token, a wave suddenly burst from the rock wall ahead. 2 figures slowly appeared. One was a beautiful woman named Zhen Lin, surrounded by endless green leaves. The other was a man in a gray robe, with a head like crystal. His name was 𝐿𝟐𝟖. Luo Feng had never heard their language before, but their fluctuations transmitted the meaning directly into his mind. The two told Luo Feng that they were not lifeforms from the current 3 reincarnation eras of the universe. They were lone universe strongest experts who had lived for nearly 3 reincarnation eras. Now that their limit was approaching, they had decided to attempt reincarnation. If they succeeded, they would obtain eternity and establish their own sacred land universe. 𝐿𝟐🟖 had left the Universe Boat token and the map here as the key to opening his inheritance. Aside from the supreme true treasure he carried with him, he had left all his wealth and all the secret techniques he had created throughout his life inside an independent space in the Universe Boat. He hoped that a successor would pass down his ultimate arts. Zhen Lin also said that she had left her inheritance within 300 light-years of this area. But 𝐿𝟐🟖 warned Luo Feng that this was the core region of Qingfeng Realm, a place filled with danger. Even universe's strongest experts could fall here. He did not recommend taking the risk to search for it. After saying this, the two figures vanished without a trace. Luo Feng stood there in a daze for a long time, his heart surging like a stormy sea. He had never imagined that this accidental exploration would allow him to obtain the complete inheritance key of a universe's strongest expert. This kind of opportunity was enough to drive every expert in the entire universe ocean mad. As Luo Feng watched the images of Jie Fanzi and Zhen Lin disappear, his heart became filled with curiosity toward the ultimate secret of the universe ocean, attempting reincarnation. But he also understood that such a thing was still far too distant for his current self. He carefully searched the space inside the grain of sand. After finding no other treasures, he boarded the star tower and left, returning to the flaming cavern. Luo Feng knew very well that this was already the core region of Qingfeng Realm. Even universe's strongest experts could fall here. Being lucky enough to obtain Jie Fanzi's inheritance key was already a heaven-defying fortune. If he continued recklessly exploring, he might very likely fall into a desperate situation. So he did not stay any longer. He followed the cave passage and returned along the original path. First, he returned to the wing space. He ignored the furious shouting and curses of the white wing spirit, then spent more than 2 months passing through the entire space before finally returning to the original cave. After that, he immediately set out on the journey back to the primal universe. 1 month later, Luo Feng returned to Earth. He sat in a casual restaurant in the city, listening to the Earth elites around him talk about business, cultivation, and ordinary matters. His heart was completely peaceful. Before long, his childhood friend Wei Wen walked over. Luo Feng used his ability to block the perception of the people around them, and the two chatted casually. Looking at Wei Wen, Luo Feng helplessly realized that even though he had given him so many cultivation resources, Wei Wen was still only at Domain Lord level 9. Wei Wen smiled and promised that he would break through as soon as possible. Luo Feng did not say more. To him, no matter how high his status became, the bond they had formed growing up together would never change. After sending Wei Wen off, Luo Feng walked along the night streets and began organizing his plans. There were 3 things he needed to do. The first was to temper his will until it reached the level of a universe's strongest expert, then subdue the white wings. The second was to go to the universe boat and obtain the treasure left behind by Jie Fanzi. The third was to remain alert toward the schemes of Sitting Mountain Guest. After thinking it over, Luo Feng decided to choose the universe boat as the place where he would temper his will. He would cultivate while searching for treasure. Afterward, he began gathering detailed information about the universe boat. While Luo Feng was preparing for his next move, a fierce battle was taking place in the inner region of Qingfeng Realm. A 3-faced, 8-armed expert from Purple Moon Holy Land had deliberately chosen the Chaos City Lord as his trial opponent. The moment he attacked, he used his strongest secret technique, condensing a giant divine hammer capable of destroying heaven and earth. But the Chaos City Lord merely struck out with one palm. Within his palm, a universe took shape, and he easily shattered the opponent's attack. With one move, he defeated him. The Holy Land expert was fully convinced. He immediately admitted defeat and left. The Chaos City Lord was already used to this. He was publicly recognized as the person with the greatest hope of becoming the next universe's strongest expert. Because of this, he often encountered challenges from Holy Land experts. Just then, a piece of news arrived that shook the entire human race. By a stroke of great fortune, the founder of the Great Axe had obtained a supreme true treasure in the form of a giant axe, and he had already successfully become its master. The news spread instantly throughout the human race. Luo Feng, the Darkness Master, the Void Gold Master, and all the other Universe Masters were filled with excitement. A supreme true treasure was one of the highest level treasures in the universe ocean. The strength of the founder of the Great Axe was already unfathomable. Now that he had obtained this treasure, the overall strength of the human race would undergo a qualitative leap. This was an unprecedented joyous event for the entire human race.